Welcome to OpenE webinar. Today is October the 23rd. My name is Greg Rapinski. I'm a technical support engineer with OpenE. What we're going to do today is talk about data replication from a Microsoft application, virtually going from your Windows server to the storage, DSS V7. This can actually work in both directions. Today we're going to talk about coming from the Windows machine to the NAS Logical Volume. And what we're going to go through here in some steps, just as you can see on your screen, we're going to talk about setting up the NAS Logical Volume. We're going to talk about the data replication agent and the share that it's assigned to. We're going to configure DeltaCopy on a Microsoft system. We're going to run the DeltaCopy application and its task, and it's going to rsync data from our Windows machine to our NAS Share, and then we'll be able to verify that the data is there. Now talk about DeltaCopy here for just a second. DeltaCopy is a Windows application that is a rsync wrapper. It allows you to use an rsync client from Windows to dump data onto the NAS Share. DeltaCopy also installs with a rsync server part of it also, so it can also send the data receive the data from the NAS Share to a Windows server should you want to go that direction as well. Now on our DSS, you can see we're using version 7. This is the most up-to-date release, build 6645. We're going to configure our logical volumes. And in this case, I'm going to just create a very small volume. This, of course, can be as large or as small as you need it to be. So I'm going to create a 2 gig volume here for our demo. All right. The volume is created. Now we need to enable data replication and create a share. So we're going to go to NAS settings. And if we scroll down to the bottom here, the option you want to turn on is Enable Data Replication Agent. This is the rsync agent within DSS version 7. Now we have to configure our share. And in this case, I'll just call it backup. So create a share in the NAS volume. Okay, and select my share here on the left to enable the rsync application. And I'm adjusting my Samba settings just so I can get into it so we can see the data afterwards. This could be guest, it could be users with password, you could be connected to Active Directory server. It doesn't matter to do what we're doing here today for the rsync application to connect. This is only setting access for user access after the rsync task has run. Perhaps just an administrator might have access to this share to add or remove files. And I'm going to turn on data replication, give it a login name and password. I can also configure which IP or multiple IPs are allowed to dump data into this share. I'm going to leave mine blank for now. Okay, that's configured. And if we look at our network, we can see that we see the backup share now as being available on the LAN. Okay, now if I go over to our DeltaCopy install, you can see it's a fairly simple program. Like I said, it's just a wrapper. It's an open source wrapper for rsync application on Windows. There are several applications out there that can do this. This one happens to be free and it's easy to use. So basically all you're going to do here is create a profile, and this in turn creates your task, and then you can use the Microsoft Task Scheduler to run it at different intervals, or you can run it manually, whichever you prefer. So I'm going to give a name to the profile. We'll also call it backup. Tell it the IP of the NAS share of the DSS V7. And then you can click the small button here, will refresh the directories or the shares that have rsync enabled. You may have one or more. You can also test the connection here from this window. Okay, now I've added the profile to our list. We select the profile, and now we can add the files or folders that we want to rsync to our share. And in this case, I've got a backup folder that I want to sync to the NAS share. And this may be on your server. This may be a folder where users are storing their documents, or it could be user profiles. It could be virtually anything here. So I'll add that. Then there are options. The defaults here are fine. I would think that any other application would have similar options here. And if you're familiar with the rsync protocol and its command line switches, you can add additional parameters here if you'd like. And then finally, we have to give it authentication to connect, the same thing that we configured on the share. Okay, and then we can actually run the task from here, or we can modify its schedule. And you'll see this brings up Windows Task Scheduler. Schedule it however you'd like. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and run it. And you can see it opens a verbose log window. I've got verbose logging turned on. And as it scrolls through the file list, it's showing me what it's uploaded, the list of files it's syncing. And the good thing with this is, like most other rsync applications, is the initial upload is, of course, all the data. And then subsequent running the task will do incremental data. So it cuts down a little bit on having to do a full backup every time. Now we can close this log window, go back to our share, and you'll see it created a folder called backup. That's what I was backing up, was a folder. And inside of there are all the files that are in my backup folder. It's really that easy. Any questions? If you've got microphones, you can go ahead and ask questions, or if you feel like you want to just type them in the chat window there, that's fine as well. I do not think it'll work with open files because it doesn't have a shadow copy function. So in case of open files, you probably want to schedule it to run off hours or after that user is gone. This is not something that you'd want to try to use to back up your operating system, for example. It won't get open files like you're asking.